What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today when I talk to you about NIO, I want to go over some of the current data points, break it down on what's really moving it, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. So NIO's down 6.99%, 458 the low, 490 the high, and 64.5 million shares being traded. 62.1 is the average. So you are seeing a lot of volume, but despite that though, things aren't looking all that good. So I think NIO is rather just now inverse to the broader market. Last couple of trading days, market's been in somewhat of a bloodbath mode, and NIO just somehow pulls to be green. Today is complete opposite. One interesting point though is looking at the dark pool, you don't see any abnormally high transactions, meaning market makers have not covered all of those in the money options from last week, nor did they cover anything on Friday. So it is fair to assume, in my opinion, that they are going to wait either second half of today or potentially tomorrow. So you might see a nice kind of push higher as the market does close, and that would be market makers, because I feel like all of this is just artificially being suppressed. A lot of which is because of NIO's recent numbers, which weren't all that great, but there's a increased fear once again because of BYD. So July numbers, clearly there's some slowing that's happening in China. Yet to be seen whether that is a significant impact, but we've seen a lot of companies already, such as Li, lower their targets. NIO has been very adamant and kind of sticking to their targets. So I think that's one of those things that I think institutions might be selling NIO because of maybe just worst case scenario or whatever else. But again, that's one thing that's really affecting, seems to be only NIO, because XPeng and Li seem to be green, as you can kind of see. Not significant, up 1.76%, but still a lot better than what NIO is doing, down 7.29%. Even BYD, oddly enough, it started off fairly red, but it somehow pulled a green, up 1.88%. One thing also did come out, which was this. So it looks like there was some crashes on the back end because of L90 just really ramping up, doing 20,000 units. So yeah, in a very short time span, they were able to accomplish this. And so it goes to show that there is a sufficient amount of demand, but at the end of the day, clearly, if they can't complete this without having some of their back end crashing, it's a little bit more of a red flag. I don't really see this being a crazy, like, hey, you need to stop what you're doing and sell type of scenario, but it's not the best. So let me know your general thoughts on that. And I know every time NIO does go down like this type of day, down 7.29%, people always assume that it is shorts. That's not necessarily the case. Right now, shorts are returning 551,000 shares. So this is why I like to kind of interpret this type of data, because by shorts returning and not doubling down, it goes to show that today is somewhat unjustified, in my opinion. Some people might disagree with me on that, but 11.69% of the free floats being shorted works out to be 180.35 million shares overall being shorted. Moving over to the options, 4.61 million in calls and then 1.3 million in puts. 48% of all the options being done are bearish in nature, and most of that was in the first 1 hour of the trading day. So as per usual, institutions buy puts, and then that way they're free to kind of sell off their shares, or puts appreciate and rinse and repeat. That's kind of a common strategy that does happen. Looking on a bull standpoint, still people are very optimistic that it will be kind of around that 5 to 550 range. Bears for it to be sub 450. So given where we are at now, there is more upside anticipated, but a lot of transactions like I kind of showed you on the dark pool, just no covering as of yet. But aside from all of that though, NIO on a technical standpoint, I think it's just due for some consolidation as well. So that's one attributing factor what's affecting it today. With it at 465, it is trading between this pivot and this S1. So 461 is going to be a key point to really watch for it to stay above today. Flip side, 484 and then 507 is going to be the next strong target / resistance points. Like I said, it might be somewhat of a bold statement, but I do feel like there will be a recovery into kind of the market close. So there's roughly around 2 hours left for that to occur. But on the actual chart, Yeah, it's below the ALMA, so shows a little bit more consolidation potentially, but 429 is that 200-day moving average, and it's already above a lot of the other key ones that I generally like to look at. Because of the recent volatility, you see stochastic RSI very low / potentially even oversold, so that could really stand to benefit it going into the next couple trading days. Or maybe, best case scenario, the market just absolutely crashes, then that way NIO can really move higher since it's clearly inverse. One thing I do want to bring up though is I believe Macquarie did reiterate and kind of change their price target. I do believe it was $5.10 originally. It looks like it was lowered down to $4.87. I'm not really sure exactly why that was done, but nonetheless, Analyst does have a 71% success rating. As a consensus over the last 3 months, $4.61, and that's pretty much flat where we are at right now. So let me know your thoughts on NIO. Are you buying the dip today? Are you selling? What's your viewpoint on clearly them ramping up a significant amount and causing some back-end crashes? Do you think that's a little bit more of a red flag potentially for NIO, or what's your kind of viewpoint on all that? Don't forget to hit that thumbs up. One final thing, pop over to my Patreon if you're looking for some solid buy signals on stocks, options, crypto, many of which have been absolutely on point. Definitely worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.